It was a chilling autumn evening in the dense forests of Washington state. The air carried an eerie stillness, broken only by the rustling leaves and distant hoots of owls. Emily Carter found herself stranded after her car skidded off the narrow mountain road during a sudden downpour. Her heart pounded as she realized how far she was from civilization. Before we dive in, tell me, where are you watching from, and what time is it there for you? We love knowing who's out there with us and where in the world you're tuning in from. Whether you're starting your day, winding down at night, or somewhere in between, we want to know what your moment looks like. It's also a great way for us to get to know our audience better and maybe even shape future content around your schedules. So go ahead, drop a comment below and let us know where you are today. We're all ears. Emily had always been adventurous, but this trip to the Pacific Northwest seemed different somehow. She had planned a solo camping adventure near Mount Rainier National Park, hoping to escape the chaos of city life. Little did she know that fate would lead her into something far more terrifying than she could ever imagine. As darkness fell over the forest, Emily decided to set up camp under the cover of ancient trees. The moonlight barely penetrated through the thick canopy above, casting long shadows across the forest floor. At around 9:30 p.m., she first heard a faint whisper carried by the wind. Then came the sound of footsteps, deliberate, slow, and methodical. The hairs on her neck stood up as she noticed strange markings carved into nearby tree trunks, symbols she couldn't recognize. Her mind raced with possibilities. Was it some kind of ritualistic sign, or perhaps just another camper's graffiti? But deep down, she felt uneasy. Something about these marks didn't feel right. Suddenly, a loud crack echoed through the woods as a branch snapped nearby. Emily froze, her flashlight beam trembling as she scanned her surroundings. That's when she saw him, a figure standing at the edge of her light's reach, tall and thin, with glowing eyes that pierced through the darkness. He wasn't moving, just watching, waiting. Her instincts told her to run, but before she could gather her courage, another presence emerged from deeper within the forest. This one was different, massive, towering, covered in dark fur. Its form moved silently, despite its size. Emily's breath caught in her throat as both figures locked eyes for what felt like eternity. They simply stared at each other. Then it happened. The thin man lunged toward her. In that split second, everything changed. The large creature reacted faster than she thought possible, intercepting the attacker with a single powerful motion. What followed was a chaotic struggle between the two beings' growls, snarls, and the chilling sound of bones breaking. Emily watched in disbelief as the mysterious beast fought fiercely to protect her. Though terrified, she couldn't help but notice how intelligent its movements were, not animalistic, almost human-like. After what seemed like hours but was likely mere minutes, the fight ended abruptly. The attacker lay motionless on the ground while the protector stood guard over Emily. Gathering her wits, she slowly approached the creature. To her astonishment, it allowed her close proximity without speaking. There was an understanding between Thea's silent agreement that she wouldn't harm him if he kept her safe. They spent the night together under the watchful eyes of countless stars. The atmosphere shifted from fear to cautious gratitude as dawn broke, transforming the forest dramatically. Golden sunlight filtered through the trees, chasing away the previous night's horrors. Emily knew she needed to leave, but so did her savior. Before parting ways, they shared one final moment of connection and unspoken promise never to forget this encounter. Back in Seattle days later, Emily tried returning to normal life, yet something gnawed at her thoughts constantly. Who or what exactly saved her life that fateful night? And why did those symbols appear specifically around her campsite? Determined to find answers, she began researching local legends. Stories of Bigfoot sightings became increasingly familiar. Could her protector truly be one of these elusive creatures? But there was more, much more. As she dug deeper, disturbing patterns emerged regarding missing persons cases throughout the region. Each victim disappeared near similar symbol-marked areas. Coincidence, or evidence of something darker lurking in the shadows? Haunted by questions without answers, Emily vowed to uncover the truth, even if doing so meant risking another encounter with either her savior or its deadly adversary. Because now she understood some things aren't meant to remain hidden forever, and sometimes salvation comes from places we least expect. The next chapter of Emily's journey began weeks later when she returned to the forest armed with new knowledge and determination. She revisited the area where she had encountered the creature, hoping to piece together the puzzle. Along the way, she stumbled upon remnants of clothing buried beneath fallen leaves and moss items believed to belong to past victims. Nearby, more mysterious footprints dotted the soft earth, some nearly twice the size of normal human steps. Authorities sealed off the area indefinitely, citing safety concerns for future visitors venturing too far off designated trails. As days turned into months, theories abounded regarding Emily's fate. Cryptozoologists analyzed the video footage frame by frame, debating whether the creature caught on film could indeed be evidence of Sasquatch existence. Skeptics argued it was merely a well-placed costume or optical illusion caused by lighting conditions. However, none could explain the sheer terror etched onto Emily's face as she confronted whatever lurked in those woods. 1 year later, hikers stumbled upon something disturbing deep within Blackwater National Park, remnants of clothing partially buried beneath fallen leaves and moss. Nearby, more peculiar tracks led investigators further into the wilderness. Rangers warned against overnight stays in the vicinity due to numerous reports of unsettling encounters since Emily's vanishing act. For many Americans, especially those living near wooded regions where such legends thrive, the possibility of Sasquatch remained tantalizingly real, whether mythical beast or misunderstood creature. Its presence continued to haunt their collective imagination. And perhaps, somewhere deep within Blackwater National Park, amidst ancient trees and shadowy clearings, Emily's unanswered questions lingered alongside the cryptic entity that took her away that fateful night. What do you think happened to Emily? Let me know in the comments below. Did her protector truly belong to the realm of myth, or was there something even darker at play? Share your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe for more spine-tingling stories like this one. Your curiosity keeps us going. Conspiracy theories uncovered, dark secrets, and midnight tales for curious minds. Imagine this: a quiet evening in a small town where the only sounds are the soft rustle of leaves and the distant hum of crickets. But then, out of nowhere, you hear it, a faint whisper carried by the wind, speaking words that seem almost intentional. You pause, your heart skipping a beat as you try to make sense of what just happened. Was it real, or was it just your imagination playing tricks on you? Before we dive in, tell me, where are you watching from, and what time is it there for you? Fun. We love knowing who's out there with us and where in the world you're tuning in from. Whether you're starting your day, winding down at night, or somewhere in between, we want to know what your moment looks like. It's also a great way for us to get to know our audience better and maybe even shape future content around your schedules. Fan. So go ahead, drop a comment below and let us know where you are today. We're all ears. Now, back to the story. This wasn't an isolated incident. Across the country, people began reporting similar experiences, strange occurrences that seemed to defy logic. In one case, a man claimed he heard voices coming from his radio late at night, even though it was turned off. Another described seeing shadows moving outside her window, shapes that couldn't possibly belong to anything natural. These stories piled up, each more bizarre than the last, until they caught the attention of someone who decided to investigate further. Than. This person wasn't a professional detective or scientist. They were just an ordinary individual with a keen sense of curiosity and a knack for uncovering hidden truths. Living in a modest home surrounded by dense woods, they spent their evenings poring over old books, articles, and online forums, piecing together fragments of information that others had dismissed as mere coincidence. The room where they worked was filled with the comforting scent of aged paper and faint traces of coffee, creating an atmosphere both calming and charged with anticipation. Fun. As days turned into weeks, patterns started emerging. There were references to secret organizations operating in plain sight, manipulating global events without anyone realizing it. Some spoke of advanced technologies hidden away in classified facilities, while others hinted at knowledge so ancient it predated recorded history. Each discovery led to more questions, building a web of intrigue that grew thicker with every passing day. Than. But then came the turning point, the moment when everything changed. While researching late one night, they stumbled upon a document buried deep within a forgotten corner of the internet. It wasn't much at first glance, a simple text file with no author listed, but as they read through it, their pulse quickened. The document outlined a series of events spanning decades, connecting seemingly unrelated incidents into a single cohesive narrative. Governments falling, economies collapsing, technological breakthroughs appearing out of nowhere, all tied together by threads so subtle they could easily be overlooked. Then, the conflict deepened as they realized the implications of what they'd uncovered. If true, this meant the world wasn't as random or chaotic as it appeared. Instead, it was being carefully guided by forces working behind the scenes, pulling strings to achieve goals known only to them. And worse yet, these forces weren't acting altruistically. Their motives remained unclear, but the evidence suggested their actions often came at great cost to those unaware of their existence. Then, just as they delved deeper into the mystery, strange things began happening around them. Files disappeared from their computer without explanation. Notes vanished overnight, leaving no trace behind. Even stranger, they started receiving anonymous messages, texts, emails, even phone calls that seemed to warn them to stop digging. At first, they brushed it off as paranoia, but the persistence of these warnings made it hard to ignore. Then came the twist. One evening, after another long session of research, they received a message unlike any other. It didn't come via email or text. Instead, it appeared directly on their screen, typed out letter by letter, as if someone or something was watching them type. The message was short but powerful. You're closer than you think. Then, that single sentence shattered their world. Who sent it? How did they know? More importantly, why were they being targeted now? The answers eluded them, but the message sparked a chain reaction of events that would forever alter their understanding of reality. Then, the climax hit hard. Over the next few days, they discovered connections between the mysterious phenomena they'd been studying and individuals they knew personally. Friends, family members, even colleague Soul seemed entangled in ways they couldn't have imagined. The boundaries between conspiracy theory and everyday life blurred, forcing them to confront uncomfortable truths about the people and institutions they trusted most. Then, in the end, they reached a conclusion both enlightening and unsettling. The world, as we understand it, is built on layers of secrets, some harmless, others devastating. Uncovering these secrets isn't always about exposing villains or saving humanity. Sometimes it's about accepting that the truth is far more complex than we can ever comprehend. Then, as the days stretched into weeks, the curious mind behind this investigation found themselves entangled in a web far more intricate than they had initially imagined. The message, "You're closer than you think," resonated in their thoughts day and night, haunting them like a melody stuck in their head. They couldn't shake the feeling that someone or something was watching, waiting for them to make the next move. The room where they worked became less of a sanctuary and more of a battlefield. Every shadow seemed darker, every sound louder. The rustling of leaves outside their window now sounded deliberate, as if nature itself were conspiring against them. Yet, amidst the fear and uncertainty, there was an undeniable thrill, a spark of excitement that kept them going despite the mounting risks. Then, one evening, while sifting through old archives, they stumbled upon a series of photographs taken decades apart, but eerily similar in composition. Each photo depicted a group of people standing near a towering monument, its design so unique it appeared almost alien. What made these images even stranger was the presence of one individual who appeared in all of them, unchanged by time. Their face, though slightly blurred in some photos, remained unmistakably the same across each image. Then, this discovery sent shockwaves through their research. Could such a thing be possible? Was this evidence of immortality, or perhaps something far more sinister, an experiment gone wrong, or maybe even proof of extraterrestrial involvement? The questions multiplied, each one leading to another until the entire scope of their investigation expanded beyond comprehension. Then, determined to uncover the truth, they reached out to others who might share their curiosity. Through online forums and encrypted messaging apps, they connected with individuals from around the world, all strangers, united by a common goal. Some were scientists, others historians, a few self-proclaimed conspiracy theorists, but together, they formed a network capable of pooling resources and knowledge like never before. Then, among these newfound allies was a woman living in rural Montana. She claimed to possess documents detailing a top-secret government project codenamed Erebus. According to her sources, Erebus involved experiments conducted during the mid-20th century aimed at unlocking the secrets of human consciousness. The details were sparse, but the implications were staggering. Could the strange occurrences being reported worldwide be linked to remnants of this long-forgotten initiative? Then, another ally emerged from London, a retired librarian with access to centuries-old manuscripts stored in the depths of the British Library. Among these texts, she uncovered references to ancient civilizations that possessed advanced knowledge of astronomy, mathematics, and engineering knowledge so profound it rivaled modern achievements. These civilizations, according to the manuscripts, vanished without a trace, leaving behind only cryptic symbols carved into stone tablets. Then, with each piece of information added to the puzzle, the picture grew clearer yet more complex. It became apparent that the phenomena they were investigating weren't isolated incidents, but part of a larger pattern stretching back millennia. Civilizations rose and fell, leaving behind clues encoded in art, architecture, and language. Modern technology, it seemed, was merely rediscovering what had been lost to time. Fun. But the deeper they dug, the more dangerous the journey became. One by one, their allies began disappearing. Messages went unanswered, calls dropped unexpectedly, and accounts vanished overnight. Panic set in as they realized they might be the last person left holding the key to unraveling this mystery. Than, desperate for answers, they turned their attention to the most peculiar aspect of their findings, the recurring symbol found in nearly every document, photograph, and artifact they'd encountered. This symbol, a spiral intertwined with a starburst, appeared everywhere, from cave paintings in Africa to carvings on temples in Asia. Its meaning, however, remained elusive. Then came the breakthrough. While analyzing high-resolution scans of the photographs featuring the mysterious figure, they noticed something hidden in plain sight. Embedded within the background of each image was a faint watermark, subtle distortion resembling the spiral starburst symbol. Upon closer inspection, the watermark revealed itself to be a map, complete with coordinates pointing to locations scattered across the globe. Then, without hesitation, they decided to follow the trail, starting with the nearest location, a secluded island off the coast of Mainathe, packed their essentials, and set off under the cover of darkness. The journey wasn't easy. Obstacles seemed to appear at every turn, testing their resolve and resourcefulness. But they pressed on, driven by the promise of uncovering the ultimate truth. Upon reaching the island, they discovered ruins buried beneath dense foliage. The structures were unlike anything they'd ever seen. Smooth, seamless surfaces devoid of visible seams or joints. Inside, walls were covered with inscriptions written in a language neither familiar nor entirely foreign. As they translated the text using tools developed during their research, a chilling narrative unfolded. Then, the inscription spoke of a race that once inhabited Earth, possessing knowledge and abilities far surpassing those of humans. These beings, referred to as the architects, created humanity as a means of preserving their legacy after their civilization faced extinction. However, not all was as it seemed. The architects' intentions weren't purely altruistic. They viewed humans as vessels, meant to carry forward fragments of their consciousness until the day they could return. The twist came when they realized the truth about the mysterious figure appearing in the photographs. It wasn't a single individual, but rather a manifestation of the architect's consciousness, existing simultaneously across different timelines. This explained why the figure remained unchanged over decades. It wasn't bound by the constraints of linear time. Armed with this revelation, they understood the gravity of their situation. The messages, warnings, and disappearances weren't random acts of intimidation, but calculated moves by forces still loyal to the architects. These entities, known as guardians, ensured the secrets remained hidden, protecting the balance between worlds. The climax hit when they uncovered the final piece of the puzzle, a device concealed within the ruins, designed to awaken dormant memories stored within human DNA. Activating it would unlock untapped potential, granting access to knowledge and abilities previously unimaginable. But with great power came great responsibility and risk. If misused, the device could destabilize reality itself, plunging the world into chaos. Then, faced with this dilemma, they made a choice that would define their legacy. Instead of activating the device immediately, they documented its existence and shared the information with trusted allies worldwide. By dispersing the knowledge, they hoped to prevent any single entity from monopolizing its power. Then, in the aftermath, life returned to a semblance of normalcy, though nothing was truly the same. The world continued spinning, oblivious to the revelations unearthed by one curious mind. Yet deep down, they knew the truth: the universe was infinitely more vast, mysterious, and interconnected than anyone dared to imagine. Then, so, what do you think happened to the curious mind behind this investigation? Did they succeed in awakening humanity to its true potential, or did they merely scratch the surface of something far greater? Let me know in the comments below. Share your theories, your wildest guesses, and your deepest musings. Together, we can continue exploring the mysteries that bind us all. And remember, sometimes the best stories aren't the ones we hear, but the ones we create together. Thank you for joining me tonight. Sleep well, dream big, and until next time, keep questioning. Then, so, what do you think happened to the curious mind behind this investigation? Let me know in the comments below. Did they uncover the ultimate truth, or did they simply scratch the surface of something infinitely larger? Whatever your thoughts may be, sharing them helps build a community of curious minds eager to explore the mysteries of our universe together. Thanks for joining me on this journey tonight. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and remember, the truth is always stranger than fiction. Before we dive in, tell me, where are you watching from, and what time is it there for you? We love knowing who's out there with us and where in the world you're tuning in from. Whether you're starting your day, winding down at night, or somewhere in between, we want to know what your moment looks like. It's also a great way for us to get to know our audience better and maybe even shape future content around your schedules. So go ahead, drop a comment below and let us know where you are today. We're all ears. Picture this. You're alone. Every clock in your home reads exactly 3 a.m. and your radio flickers to life. No music, no beep, just a calm male voice repeating a set of numbers. 923, 923, over and over. The voice is emotionless. The signal cuts off. You wait. 15 seconds later, it returns. Same numbers, same tone, and then silence. That was the moment Sarah Cartwright heard it for the first time. a software engineer working graveyard shifts in a secluded California town. Before that, she had never believed in anything beyond algorithms and logical codes. But that night, something impossible happened, something unexplainable. Sarah lived alone on the edge of town, forklift rickety road behind her house, endless pine forest ahead. She had a daily routine: code until midnight, go for coffee, monitor server health logs until 4 a.m., then sleep until the radio signal changed everything. It was the kind of night that felt normal, but carried the thrum of something under the surface. Rain tapped against her window. Street lamps flickered. The clock struck 3. 3, and a sudden magnetic buzz filled the room. The radio, tuned to static, crackled and spit out a whisper. 923. 923. She grabbed her phone. She recorded the signal. Her heart raced, but she felt an odd calm, like she was witnessing a message meant just for her. She scrubbed through the recording, slowed it down. No background noise, no ambient hiss. It was pristine, final. Then, the next night, at exactly 3, the signal came again. Same repetition, 923, and again, and again. For an entire week, Sarah's curiosity spiraled. What did the numbers mean? A GPS coordinate? A date? A coded call sign? She posted about it on a little forum for radio enthusiasts. The thread exploded, hundreds of replies. Some said it was an old Cold War number station, long since abandoned. Others thought it was planets aligning. Another group believed it was someone's cry for help, deeply disguised. The most intriguing reply came from someone calling themselves Watcher Zero. They posted coordinates near the Nevada desert, 200 miles from Sarah's home, and a single line: "Be there on the next Friday at 3 a.m. Was it a prank, a trap, or an invitation to uncover something nobody else dared follow? The following Friday, Sarah drove out under a dark sky. Her phone showed 3-1 as she approached the remote coordinates. 2 minutes later, everything fell. Silent, no radio, no cell signal, just desert stillness. At 3 exactly, a soft echo reverberated from the horizon. 923. She followed the sound to a solitary black tower, half buried in sand, unmarked, with blinking lights ringing a triangular window near its top. No door, no ladder, just that window. Her pulse thumped. She fumbled for her camera. A figure appeared blurry at first, then clear. A silhouette of a man seated behind that triangular light, staring in her direction but never moving. The static hummed around her. The numbers danced through the air. Sarah called out. No response. She tried the gate locked, but then the tower window shut. A mechanical click, and the light went dark. The radio turned to silence. She waited. 5 minutes, then 10. Then, reluctantly, she left. The desert swallowed her headlights. She never saw the tower again. Back home, she analyzed every recording, every pixel from those night photos, but never found the man's face or the tower's origin. Only one thing was certain: the tower and the signal existed. People in the forum analyzed time logs and found the signal played once every lunar cycle, always at 3, always repeating 923, but never more, never less. They dug further, found old declassified documents referencing a Project 923, a Cold War experiment about remote consciousness transmission, abandoned in the 1960s. All records were erased. But a few leaked notes mention a beacon of signals without sound. What if this was legacy? What if someone reactivated part of that old experiment? A tower in the desert broadcasting numbers to the cosmos, or to someone. Sarah kept tracking for months. She heard nothing again. The desert scanned. Everyone else claimed they heard nothing, but Sarah knew she did. That signal changed something in Heron awareness beyond sleep. A glimpse beyond the edge of ordinary. Here's what still keeps her awake. Was it an accident, a prank, or confirmation that some things remain hidden in plain sight? A conspiracy hidden in the code of time itself. So tonight, as the clock nears 3, and static hums on frequencies no one monitors anymore, will you listen? Will you hear 923? And if you do, what will you do next? The midnight signal never speaks. It only invites. And once heard, you cannot unhear it. Thank you for staying with me through this hour of whispers and wondering. If you felt that uncanny hum of intrigue, share where you heard it, what time it was, and let's keep this signal alive together. Sleep well, or perhaps stay alert. The truth might still be broadcasting. It begins. Is evolution based on lies? It was a quiet Tuesday morning when the ground cracked open beneath a small town in Montana. Not from an earthquake, but from something far more bizarre. A farmer named James had been walking through his field, coffee in one hand, dog by his side, when he noticed something glinting under the morning sun. At first, he thought it was just another piece of old farm equipment rusting away. But as he got closer, his breath caught in his throat. It wasn't metal at all. It was bone. Not just any bone. A ribcage so massive it could have belonged to a creature straight out of a nightmare. Before we dive in, tell me, where are you watching from, and what time is it there for you? We love knowing who's out there with us, and where in the world you're tuning in from, whether you're starting your day, winding down at night, or somewhere in between. We want to know what your moment looks like. It's also a great way for us to get to know our audience better, and maybe even shape future content around your schedules. So go ahead, drop a comment below, and let us know where you are today. We're all ears. Back to James. He called the local university, unsure of what else to do. Within hours, paleontologists were swarming the site, brushing dust off what they believed to be part of a Tyrannosaurus rex. But here's the twist. This fossil was found just miles from where other strange discoveries had been made over the past few years. And it all circles back to a mystery that's been hiding in plain sight for centuries. The idea that dinosaurs went extinct 66 million years ago has long been accepted as fact. But what if I told you that some people believe not every dinosaur died that day? What if some survived and have been hiding among us ever since? This isn't just about fossils and museums. This is about conspiracy theories, ancient sightings, and creatures that shouldn't exist, yet may still be out there. Let's rewind. Back in 1822, a British doctor named Gideon Mantell stumbled upon a massive tooth while walking through a forest in England. The tooth was unlike anything he'd seen before, sharp, jagged, and clearly from something enormous. When analyzed, it was found to resemble the teeth of an iguana, only exponentially larger. From that single tooth, the world learned its first dinosaur existed, the iguanodon. But it wasn't until 1842 that the term dinosaur was coined by Richard Owen, a British anatomist fascinated by prehistoric reptiles. The word itself comes from Greek deinos, meaning terrifying, and sauros, meaning lizard. So literally, terrifying lizards. Over the next century, more fossils were discovered across the globe, from Argentina to China, India to Mongolia, even parts of Africa and Antarctica. And each discovery painted a picture of a world ruled by creatures so vast and violent, they made modern predators look tame. But then, 66 million years ago, everything changed. In the 1970s, scientists exploring the Yucatan Peninsula discovered a massive circular geological structure, nearly perfect in symmetry buried beneath layers of earth. They later confirmed it was the crater left behind by an asteroid roughly 12 kilometers wide, traveling at speeds exceeding 430 kilometers. The impact was equivalent to 5 billion Hiroshima bombs exploding at once. The result? A firestorm that scorched thousands of square kilometers in minutes. Then came tsunamis towering over a mile high, followed by decades of darkness as dust choked the skies. Ozone layers were torn apart. Ultraviolet radiation raged unchecked, and diseases spread like wildfire. In the aftermath, 90% of plant life died, and 76% of all species vanished, among them the mighty dinosaurs. Or so we thought, because what if some dinosaurs didn't die? There's a theory, one, that's gaining traction among researchers and believers alike, that birds are actually descendants of dinosaurs, specifically theropods like the velociraptor. In fact, many paleontologists now agree that birds are technically modern-day dinosaurs. Feathers, hollow bones, even nesting behaviors all point to a direct evolutionary link. But that's not the weirdest part. In Germany, a fossil was discovered in 1860, a creature with wings, feathers, and claws on its arms. It was named Archaeopteryx, and it blurred the line between bird and beast. Some say it was the missing link. Others believe it was proof that dinosaurs never really disappeared. They simply evolved into something we see every day. Now, fast forward to the 20th century. In the 1930s, reports began surfacing from Scotland, whispers of a monster lurking beneath the dark waters of Loch Ness. Descriptions matched those of a plesiosaur, a marine reptile thought to have gone extinct alongside the land-bound giants. Then came photographs, sketches, even sonar, readings from military submarines. One photo, taken in 1934 by Dr. Robert Kenneth Wilson, became infamous, a blurry image of a long neck rising from the water. For decades, it was considered evidence of the legendary Loch Ness Monster. In 2019, a massive marine fossil was unearthed in Antarctica, estimated to be 70 million years old. Its structure bore uncanny resemblance to a plesiosaur. Some scientists believe it could be related to the same species said to haunt Loch Ness. Could it be possible that these creatures survived the extinction event? Could they have hidden in remote lakes, oceans, and forests undetected for millennia? Hold on, because it gets stranger. In Congo, during the 1930s, a Swedish plantation owner named John Johnson claimed he saw a massive red and black striped creature attack a rhino. He described it as having a long snout, rows of teeth, and lion-like legs. Locals called it Kasai Rex, a mini Tyrannosaurus, if you will. Around the same time, reports of a long-necked beast emerged from the Mokelembe River. It resembled a sauropod, a dinosaur last seen millions of years ago. Across the ocean, in Papua New Guinea, a British pilot named George Lydon reported seeing a giant flying creature in 1910. He described it as having a wingspan of nearly 9 meters, leathery skin, and a diamond-shaped tail. Locals referred to it as the Ropen, a name associated with ancient flying reptiles. In 2007, researcher Rex Yap captured what he claims is footage of the Ropen soaring above Umboy Island. The video shows a creature with a long tail, head crest, and wings resembling those of a bat. No known bird matches the description. Meanwhile, in Idaho, amateur videographers captured footage of a winged creature flying overhead, no sound, no engine noise, just silence. The footage remains unverified, but it sparked endless debate online. So, what are we looking at? Are these hoaxes, misidentifications, or are we witnessing living remnants of a lost world? Some take it even further. There are those who believe that the entire concept of dinosaurs is a fabrication, a grand conspiracy orchestrated by museums, scientists, and governments to push evolution, fund research, or promote Darwinism. They point to inconsistencies in fossil records, like how the Brontosaurus skull was originally mismatched with the wrong body, or how many fossils seem too perfectly preserved to be authentic. One viral video questioned why dinosaur bones haven't fully decayed after 66 million years. If bones rot in hundreds, why not millions? Why do we keep finding intact skeletons? Others argue that the asteroid impact should have destroyed Earth entirely, not just wiped out species. If it was powerful enough to kill dinosaurs, shouldn't it have shattered continents? These questions fuel doubt, and doubt fuels conspiracy. But what if both sides are missing the bigger picture? What if dinosaurs did survive, not as fossils, but as real, living creatures hiding in places we rarely explore? What if the truth is far more complex than either science or skepticism allows? Think about it, the Earth is vast. There are jungles so dense satellites can't penetrate them. Oceans deeper than Mount Everest is tall, remote islands untouched for centuries. Could a few survivors have adapted, evolved, and remained unseen? And if they're still out there, what happens when we find them again? Drop a comment below and tell us, which theory do you believe? Was the asteroid real? Did dinosaurs evolve into birds? Or are they still lurking somewhere in the wild, waiting to be found? Whatever the answer, one thing is certain. We may not know everything about the past, and we definitely don't know what's still out there. Yet, it begins. Are we living in a simulation? Imagine waking up one morning and realizing that the sky above you isn't real. Pause for a moment and think about it, the clouds, the sun, the stars, all generated by lines of code in some vast digital universe. You take a step outside, feeling the cool breeze on your face. But deep down, there's this nagging feeling that something is off. The world feels too perfect, too predictable. And then, as if to confirm your suspicions, you notice a faint flicker in the Ira glitch, perhaps, or just your imagination playing tricks on you. Before we dive in, tell me, where are you watching from? And what time is it there for you? Oh, we love knowing who's out there with us, and where in the world you're tuning in from. Whether you're starting your day, winding down at night, or somewhere in between, we want to know what your moment looks like. It's also a great way for us to get to know our audience better, and maybe even shape future content around your schedules. Enfin, so go ahead, drop a comment below, and let us know where you are today. We're all ears. Now, back to the story. Picture this. A quiet suburban neighborhood in any town, USA. Houses line neatly along paved streets, lawns meticulously trimmed. Children laughing as they ride their bikes past mailboxes painted in bright colors. On the surface, everything seems normal, almost idyllic. But beneath this veneer of perfection lies a question that has been haunting philosophers, scientists, and dreamers alike for decades. Are we living in a simulation? The protagonist of our tale was someone who had always been curious, always questioning the world around them. They worked as a software developer during the day, writing algorithms and debugging code. But at night, their mind wandered to bigger questions. What if the programs they created weren't so different from the reality they inhabited? Could the universe itself be running on some cosmic operating system, with each person merely a character within its narrative? This thought wasn't new. It had been floating around since ancient times, though framed differently depending on the era. In modern terms, however, the idea gained traction thanks to thinkers like Nick Bostrom, whose simulation hypothesis suggested that if civilizations could eventually develop technology capable of creating hyper-realistic simulations, it would statistically make sense that we might already be living inside one. After all, how many virtual worlds exist today compared to the single real world most people believe in? Our curious friend began noticing strange patterns in daily life coincidences that seemed almost scripted, moments when time appeared to slow down or speed up inexplicably, and even small glitches, like shadows moving without cause, or reflections behaving oddly in mirrors. At first, these occurrences were easy to dismiss. as mere quirks of perception. But over time, they added up, forming a web of evidence that became harder and harder to ignore. One evening, while scrolling through online forums dedicated to the simulation hypothesis, they stumbled upon something extraordinary. A group of researchers claimed to have discovered anomalies in quantum physics data patterns that couldn't be explained by current theories but fit perfectly with the idea of a simulated universe. These anomalies suggested that certain fundamental constants of nature might actually vary slightly depending on where and when you measure them, much like variables in a computer program being adjusted dynamically. Intrigued, our protagonist decided to dig deeper. They spent countless nights poring over scientific papers, decoding cryptic messages left by anonymous users claiming to have escaped simulations, and experimenting with simple programs designed to test whether the world obeyed rules consistent with artificial environments. Along the way, they encountered others who shared their curiosity, philosophers, physicists, and even artists who saw beauty in the possibility that reality might not be what it seemed. But then came the twist. One night, while testing a particularly complex algorithm meant to detect inconsistencies in space-time, something unexpected happened. The screen in front of them flickered violently, displaying a sequence of numbers and symbols before settling into a single phrase: "Welcome to the source." Before they could react, their surroundings began to shift. The walls of their home melted away, replaced by an endless expanse of glowing circuits and flowing streams of binary code. They stood frozen, staring at a landscape that defied logic, yet felt strangely familiar. A voice resonated through the airknot, loud but clear and commanding. "You've taken the first step," it said. "Now, you must decide. Do you wish to remain here or return to the simulation?" The climax hit them hard. Here they were, standing at the edge of reality itself, given a choice no human had ever faced before. Should they embrace this newfound knowledge, stepping fully into the unknown, or retreat to the comfort of the world they knew, even if it was all an illusion? Time seemed to stretch infinitely as they weighed their options, each decision carrying unimaginable consequences. Ultimately, they chose to return for now. The voice promised that the door would always remain open should they choose to walk through it again. As their vision cleared, they found themselves back in their living room, the program still running on their laptop. Everything appeared unchanged, yet everything felt different. The weight of what they had experienced lingered heavily in their mind. In the days that followed, they noticed subtle changes in the world around them. Colors seemed more vibrant, sounds sharper, and interactions with others carried deeper meaning. It was as if their awareness of the simulation had altered their perception of it, granting them access to layers of reality previously hidden. The conclusion left demand, perhaps us with more questions than answers. If we truly live in a simulation, does that diminish the value of our experiences? Or does it enhance them, making every moment infinitely precious, because it exists only within the confines of this particular program? And if we are characters within a larger story, or what is the author? So, what do you think? Is it possible that we're living in a simulation, Or is this just another fascinating theory born of human imagination? Let me know in the comments below. Share your thoughts, your theories, your wildest guesses. Together, maybe we can uncover the truth, or at least come closer to understanding the mysteries that surround us. And remember, sometimes the best stories aren't the ones we hear, but the ones we create together. Thank you for joining me tonight. Sleep well, dream big, and until next time, keep exploring. It begins. Is time travel already happening? Imagine this. You're sitting in a quiet cafe on a crisp autumn morning, sipping your favorite coffee and scrolling through the news when you come across an article that stops you dead in your tracks. The headline reads, "Time Travel Evidence Found in Modern Technology." Your eyes widen as you read further about strange anomalies occurring around the world, people receiving texts from numbers that don't exist, photos showing objects out of place with no explanation, and even reports of individuals claiming to remember alternate versions of history. Could it be possible? Is time travel already happening right under our noses? Before we dive in, tell me, where are you watching from, and what time is it there for you? Oh, we love knowing who's out there with us, and where in the world you're tuning in from. Whether you're starting your day, winding down at night, or somewhere in between, we want to know what your moment looks like. It's also a great way for us to get to know our audience better, and maybe even shape future content around your schedules. Oh, so go ahead, drop a comment below, and let us know where you are today. We're all ears. Now, back to the story. Picture a small town nestled deep within the rolling hills of Pennsylvania. This isn't just any town. It's a place where tradition meets innovation, where old brick buildings stand side by side with cutting-edge tech startups. In this town, there's a library, unlike any other place, not just for books, but for ideas, experiments, and questions that push the boundaries of human understanding. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, a group of people gathered in the library's basement. They weren't ordinary visitors. They were enthusiasts, dreamers, and thinkers united by one common interest, the possibility of time travel. Among them was someone whose curiosity had led them down a rabbit hole of research so deep it bordered on obsession. This person had spent years collecting data, analyzing patterns, and piecing together fragments of evidence pointing to something extraordinary. The room buzzed with excitement as the discussion turned to recent discoveries. A series of unexplained events had been documented, worldwide phones ringing without anyone on the other end, messages appearing on screens written in languages long extinct, and even clocks mysteriously resetting themselves to dates far into the past or future. At first, these incidents seemed isolated, mere quirks of modern technology. But as more reports surfaced, a pattern began to emerge. It was as if the fabric of time itself was being disrupted, sending ripples through reality that only those paying close attention could detect. As the conversation unfolded, one member of the group shared a personal experience that left everyone speechless. Just days earlier, they had received a text message from a number that didn't appear in their contact list. The message simply read, "Don't worry, everything will make sense soon." Stranger still, when they tried replying, the app froze and crashed repeatedly until finally deleting the entire thread. Was it coincidence? Or was it something more, a glimpse into another timeline intersecting with ours? The atmosphere grew heavier as the group delved deeper into theories. Some believed in multiverse theory, suggesting that parallel realities occasionally overlap, allowing glimpses of alternate futures or pasts. Others pointed to quantum mechanics, arguing that particles might hold memories of different states simultaneously, creating echoes of time that manifest in unexpected ways. And then there were those who thought it wasn't accidental, that someone or something was deliberately experimenting with time manipulation, testing its effects on unsuspecting populations. But here's where things got really interesting. One member brought up a case that had recently made headlines: a photograph taken during a routine family outing. Upon closer inspection, the photo revealed details that defied logic. In the background stood a building that hadn't existed at the time the picture was taken. Stranger still, the sign above the entrance bore a date 20 years in the future. Experts examined the image thoroughly, ruling out digital editing or camera glitches. How could such a thing happen? Was it proof that timelines intertwined in ways we couldn't yet comprehend? As the night wore on, the group decided to conduct an experiment of their own. Using a combination of homemade devices and borrowed technology, they attempted to capture anomalies in real time. Cameras rolled, sensors hummed, and notebooks filled with observations as they waited patiently for something to occur. Hours passed without incident, and just as fatigue began to set in, it happened. A faint glow emanated from one of the instruments, pulsing rhythmically like a heartbeat. Simultaneously, every clock in the room stopped ticking, frozen at precisely 12:03 a.m. Panic gave way to awe as the group realized they might have stumbled upon something monumental. The device displayed coordinates leading to a location outside Tona-secluded forest known locally as Whispering Pines. Without hesitation, they packed up their gear and headed toward the destination, guided by intuition and adrenaline. As they approached the site, the air grew colder and shadows danced unnaturally in the moonlight. Then they saw a shimmering portal-like phenomenon suspended between two ancient trees. It pulsed softly, inviting yet foreboding. This was the twist no one saw coming. As they stood transfixed before the sight, whispers filled the air, not audible words, but impressions, fragments of thoughts and emotions flooding their minds. Memories flashed vividly, some familiar, others foreign, as if they were experiencing lifetimes beyond their own. Time didn't feel linear anymore. It felt fluid, malleable, as though past, present, and future coexisted in harmony. In that moment, they understood. Time travel wasn't just a concept or a distant possibility. It was already happening, woven subtly into the fabric of daily life. Every anomaly, every unexplained event, every glitch in the system was a clue pointing to this truth. Humanity wasn't ready for it yet, but perhaps someday we would learn to harness it responsibly. The climax hit hard as the group faced a choice. Should they step through the portal, risking unknown consequences? Or should they document their findings and share them with the world, sparking a revolution in scientific understanding. After much deliberation, they chose the latter, knowing full well that their discovery would change lives forever. As dawn broke over Whispering Pines, the group returned to the library, exhausted but exhilarated. They spent the next several weeks compiling their research, ensuring accuracy and clarity. Their work eventually reached a wider audience, igniting debates and inspiring new generations of thinkers to explore the mysteries of time. So, what do you think? Is time travel already happening right now, hidden in plain sight? Let me know in the comments below. Share your wildest theories, your strangest experiences, or your deepest questions. Together, we can unravel the secrets of the universe. At least try. Thanks for joining me tonight. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and remember the truth is always stranger than fiction. It begins behind the mountain ridge. There was a secret so profound it changed everything they thought they knew about the world. Imagine this. You're standing at the edge of a vast wilderness, staring up at jagged peaks that seem to pierce the heavens themselves. The air is crisp, carrying with it the scent of pine and earth, and the only sounds are the rustle of leaves in the wind and the distant call of a hawk. But beyond those mountains lies something no one could have imagined, a discovery so extraordinary it defies belief. Before we dive in, tell me, where are you watching from, and what time is it there for you? Enfin, we love knowing who's out there with us, and where in the world you're tuning in from. Whether you're starting your day, winding down at night, or somewhere in between, we want to know what your moment looks like. It's also a great way for us to get to know our audience better, and maybe even shape future content around your schedules. So go ahead, drop a comment below and let us know where you are today. We're all ears. Now back to the story. The journey began on a quiet morning in the Appalachian foothills. A group of explorers had set out to map an uncharted region, driven by a mix of curiosity and adventure. They were ordinary people, with extraordinary dream scientists, historians, and nature enthusiasts bound together by a shared passion for discovery. As they hiked deeper into the wilderness, the landscape shifted subtly but dramatically. Dense forests gave way to open meadows, and rocky outcrops became towering cliffs. Each step forward felt like entering another world entirely. The first sign of something unusual came when their compasses started behaving erratically. One moment they pointed north, the next they spun wildly in circles as if confused by some unseen force. At first, they laughed it off, attributing it to magnetic interference from the rocks. But then, the animals began acting strangely too. Birds flew in erratic patterns, deer froze mid-step, and even insects seemed hesitant to move. It was as though the entire ecosystem was aware of something the humans weren't. As they approached the base of the mountain ridge, the atmosphere grew heavier, almost palpable. The sunlight dimmed slightly despite the clear sky above, casting long shadows across the ground. There was a strange stillness, as if the world itself held its breath. And then they saw it, a path leading directly through the mountains, a route so perfectly carved it couldn't possibly be natural. Yet there were no signs of human activity nearby, no tools, no footprints, nothing to suggest how it got there. Curiosity overruled caution, and they decided to follow the path. The trail wound upward, gradually becoming steeper until they reached a plateau overlooking a breathtaking valley hidden behind the ridge. What they found took their breath away, not just because of its beauty, but because of its impossibility. The valley below was lush and vibrant, teeming with life forms unlike anything they'd ever seen. Trees with shimmering silver leaves stretched toward the sky. Rivers flowed with water so crystal clear it sparkled in the light, and creatures moved gracefully through the underbrush. Their movements fluid and deliberate, but the most astonishing part wasn't the flora or fauna, was the structures scattered throughout the valley. Towering spires made of a material that glowed faintly in the sunlight rose majestically from the ground, connected by bridges that seemed to float in mid-air. In the center of the valley stood a massive structure resembling a temple, its walls inscribed with symbols that pulsed softly, emitting a low hum that resonated deep within their chests. At first, they thought it might be ruins left behind by an ancient civilization, but closer inspection revealed something far more incredible. The symbols on the walls weren't static. They shifted and rearranged themselves as if responding to their presence. Some of the explorers noticed that certain patterns formed words in languages they recognized, while others created entirely new combinations that defied translation. It was as though the valley itself was alive, communicating with them in ways they couldn't fully comprehend. And then came the twist. As they ventured closer to the central temple, the hum grew louder, filling the air with a vibration that seemed to resonate not just in their ears, but in their very bones. Suddenly, the ground beneath them trembled, and the air shimmered as if distorted by heat waves. When the shaking subsided, they realized they weren't alone anymore. Figures emerged from the shadow stall, elegant beings with skin that glowed softly and eyes that seemed to see straight into their soul. These beings spoke without making a sound, their voices forming directly in the minds of the explorers. They explained that the valley was a sanctuary, a place preserved for millennia by guardians tasked with protecting its secrets. The beings revealed that humanity had once been part of this world, long before recorded history began. Advanced civilizations had thrived here, mastering technologies and sciences far beyond modern understanding. But greed and conflict led to their downfall, forcing them to retreat behind the mountain ridge to preserve what remained of their legacy. The climax hit them hard. The beings offered the explorers a choice to leave the valley untouched, preserving its secrets for future generations, or to share its knowledge with the world, risking the same mistakes that destroyed the previous inhabitants. The decision weighed heavily on them, each person grappling with the weight of responsibility. Could humanity handle such power responsibly? Or would history repeat itself? In the end, they chose to keep the valley hidden, agreeing to protect its secrets until the time was right. As they retraced their steps through the mountain ridge, the path behind them vanished, leaving no trace of the wonders they'd witnessed. Back in the real world, they documented their findings carefully, sharing only fragments of the truth to inspire further exploration and discovery. The conclusion left them forever changed. For years afterward, they dedicated their lives to studying the implications of what they'd seen, hoping to uncover clues about humanity's forgotten past. Their experiences sparked debates among scientists, philosophers, and dreamers alike, raising questions about the nature of existence and the potential for growth. So, what do you think happened to the explorers after they returned? Let me know in the comments below. Did they succeed in preserving the valley's secrets, or did someone eventually reveal its location? Whatever your thoughts may be, sharing them helps build a community of curious minds, eager to explore the mysteries of our universe together. Thanks for joining me on this journey tonight. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and remember, the truth is always stranger than fiction. It begins. At the heart of this tale is someone ordinary. Someone like you or me. The water shimmered faintly under the moonlight, its surface rippling gently as if it were alive. Pause for a moment and picture this. A quiet lake nestled deep within the woods of upstate New York, untouched by civilization except for the occasional hiker or camper passing through. But tonight, something was different. The air felt heavier, charged with an energy that seemed to hum just beneath the surface. And then, there it was, a faint glimmer in the distance, almost imperceptible at first, but growing stronger with each passing second. Before we dive in, tell me, where are you watching from, and what time is it there for you? Oh, we love knowing who's out there with us, and where in the world you're tuning in from. Whether you're starting your day, winding down at night, or somewhere in between, we want to know what your moment looks like. It's also a great way for us to get to know our audience better, and maybe even shape future content around your schedules. Enfin, so go ahead, drop a comment below, and let us know where you are today. We're all ears. Now back to the story. There was a man sitting on the shore of this lake, his silhouette barely visible against the silver glow of the moon. He wasn't here by chance. He'd been coming to this spot for years, ever since he was a child. To him, it was more than just a body of water. It was a place of reflection, a sanctuary where he could escape the noise of the world and find peace. But tonight, the lake felt off. Its usual serenity had given way to an unsettling tension, as though it were holding its breath, waiting for something to happen. He leaned forward, squinting into the darkness, trying to make sense of the shimmering light dancing across the water. At first, he thought it might be fireflies reflecting off the surface, but no, this was different. This light moved with purpose, tracing patterns that seemed almost deliberate. His heart began to race as he realized the truth. Whatever was causing this wasn't natural. It wasn't random. It was alive. The scene unfolded slowly, almost lazily, as if time itself had decided to stretch out the moments. The man sat there, frozen, unable to look away. Around him, the forest whispered secrets, leaves rustling softly in the breeze. Above, the stars twinkled brightly, their light casting long shadows across the ground. Everything felt so still, so perfect, and yet, beneath it all, there was a growing sense of unease, a feeling that something was about to change everything he knew. As he watched, The light grew brighter, expanding outward until it illuminated the entire lake. In that moment, the water transformed from a dark, mysterious expanse into something entirely new, a canvas of shifting colors, swirling and twisting like paint on an artist's palette. And then, rising from the depths, came the figure. Not a person, not exactly, but something humanoid, its form made of liquid light, flowing and changing with every movement. Its eyes, if you could call them, that glowed softly, filled with intelligence and curiosity. The man didn't scream, he didn't run. Instead, he found himself drawn to the creature, compelled by some force he couldn't explain. As it approached, he noticed something strange, etched into its skynel. Perhaps its essence was symbols, glowing faintly like constellations in the night sky. These weren't random markings. They were intricate, precise, and unmistakably deliberate. They told a story, one that spanned centuries, perhaps millennia, a story of loss, of discovery, of connection. And then came the twist. The creature spoke not with words, not with sounds, but with thoughts, ideas that flowed directly into the man's mind. It told him its name, though it wasn't a name in the traditional sense. It was a concept, a feeling, a memory. It called itself the Keeper, guardian of the waters, and keeper of forgotten truths. It had been waiting, biding its time, watching humanity evolve and grow, and now it had chosen him to share its knowledge, to reveal secrets hidden beneath the surface of the world. But there was a condition. To understand fully, to grasp the magnitude of what it was offering, the man would have to let go of everything he thought he knew. He would have to embrace uncertainty, to step into the unknown without fear. It wasn't an easy choice, but somehow he knew he had no other option. The pull was too strong, the promise too great. The climax hit hard. As the man accepted the keeper's offer, the world around him dissolved, replaced by a kaleidoscope of images and sensations. He saw civilizations rise and fall, their histories intertwined with the very fabric of nature. He witnessed events long buried in myth and legend, brought to life before his eyes. And he understood, truly understood, the interconnectedness of all things, the delicate balance between land and sea, between human and animal, between past and present. When the vision faded, the man found himself back on the shore, the lake once again, calm and serene. But inside, he was changed. The knowledge he carried was both a gift and a burden, a weight he would carry for the rest of his days. He knew now that the answers to life's greatest mysteries weren't always straightforward. Sometimes they required faith, courage, and an open heart. The conclusion left him speechless. For hours, he sat there, staring at the water, pondering the implications of what he'd experienced. Was he mad? Or had he truly encountered something beyond human comprehension? Either way, he knew one thing for certain. Nothing would ever be the same again. So, what do you think happened to the man by the lake? Let me know in the comments below. Did he uncover the ultimate truth about existence? Or did he simply stumble upon a clever fabrication designed to test his beliefs? Whatever your thoughts may be, sharing them helps build a community of curious minds, eager to explore the mysteries of our universe together. Thanks for joining me on this journey tonight. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and remember the truth is always stranger than fiction. It begins. The phantom ship that sailed through time. The sea was calm, almost unnaturally so. Not a ripple disturbed the vast expanse of water as far as the eye could see. And then it appeared a ship unlike any other, its sails tattered and billowing in a wind that didn't exist, its hull glowing faintly with an ethereal light. Pause for just a moment and imagine this. A vessel from another time, sailing silently through the waves, leaving no wake behind it. It wasn't moving like normal ships do. Instead, it seemed to glide effortlessly, as though obeying laws of physics we don't yet understand. Before we dive in, tell me, where are you watching from? And what time is it there for you? We love knowing who's out there with us, and where in the world you're tuning in from. Whether you're starting your day, winding down at night, or somewhere in between, we want to know what your moment looks like. It's also a great way for us to get to know our audience better and maybe even shape future content around your schedules. So go ahead, drop a comment below and let us know where you are today. We're all ears. Now, back to the story. The man who witnessed this phenomenon had always been fascinated by history, particularly maritime history. He spent countless hours poring over old maps, reading about legendary voyages, and dreaming of the days when the seas were uncharted territory, full of mystery and adventure. But nothing he'd ever read prepared him for what he saw that day. He was standing on the deck of a small fishing boat, miles off the coast of Maine, when the phantom ship materialized before his eyes. For a brief moment, he thought it might be some kind of mirage, a trick of the light caused by heat rising from the ocean surface. But as he watched, the ship grew clearer, more defined, until it was undeniably realer, at least as real as something from another century could be. The setting sun cast long shadows across the water, painting the scene in hues of gold and crimson. The air smelled salty, carrying with it the faint tang of seaweed and distant storms. Somewhere nearby, gulls cried out, their calls echoing eerily against the backdrop of the silent ship. There was no crew visible aboard the vessel, only the ghostly glow emanating from its timbers, as if the wood itself carried a memory of firelight from centuries past. Time seemed to stand still as the man stared, unable to tear his gaze away. But then came the first sign that something was truly amiss. A clock hanging near the helm began to chimeno once, not twice, but 13 times. 13! Who had ever heard of such a thing? The sound reverberated through the air, each note deep and resonant, as if the very fabric of reality were being tested. His heart raced as he realized that this wasn't just any ordinary ship. It was a ship that defied explanation, one that shouldn't exist in this timeline. As he stood frozen in awe, the ship began to change. Its form shifted subtly, becoming less distinct, more translucent, as though it were fading into another dimension. Yet despite its increasingly insubstantial appearance, the man felt compelled to follow it. Something within him whispered that this was important, that this was a moment that would alter everything he knew about the world, and perhaps even himself. He wasn't alone in seeing the ship. Reports soon surfaced from sailors all along the eastern seaboard, each describing variations of the same eerie encounter. Some claimed they saw the ship during storms, while others swore it appeared only under clear skies. What united these accounts, however, was the sense that the ship carried with it a message, though none could agree on what exactly that message might be. Was it a warning, a glimpse into the past, or something far stranger? The twist arrived when historians began digging deeper into archives and discovering records of a ship matching the description seen by modern witnesses. Built in the late 1700s, this vessel had vanished without a trace during a transatlantic voyage, presumed lost at sea. But here it was, reappearing hundreds of years later, seemingly untouched by time. Even more bizarre, researchers found logs detailing strange occurrences aboard the ship, accounts of lights appearing spontaneously, clocks striking 13, and sightings of figures walking the decks who weren't listed among the crew manifest. The climax hit hard when scientists theorized that the ship wasn't merely a relic from the past, but a vessel capable of traversing different eras. They speculated that certain conditions, perhaps involving magnetic fields or gravitational anomalies, allowed the ship to slip between timelines, making appearances throughout history before vanishing again. This theory gained traction when satellite imagery captured fleeting glimpses of the ship in locations separated by decades, each image showing the same distinctive markings etched into the hull. And then came the ultimate revelation. One night, as the man lay awake thinking about the phantom ship, he noticed something peculiar about a locket he'd inherited from his grandmother. Inside, alongside a faded photograph of her younger self, was a tiny engraving of a ship. At first glance, it looked like a generic design, but upon closer inspection, he realized it bore the exact same scars and imperfections as the ghostly vessel he'd witnessed. Could his family have had ties to the ship? Was this why he'd been chosen to see it? The conclusion left him questioning everything he thought he knew about lineage, destiny, and the nature of time itself. Did the ship choose those it revealed itself to, or was it simply a random occurrence? Whatever the truth may be, one thing was certain. The phantom ship had changed him forever, opening his mind to possibilities beyond the boundaries of conventional understanding. So, what do you think happened to the man who saw the phantom ship? Let me know in the comments below. Was it a glimpse into another era, a message from ancestors long gone, or something entirely different? Whatever your thoughts may be, sharing them helps build a community of curious minds, eager to explore the mysteries of our universe together. Thanks for joining me on this journey tonight. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and remember, the unknown is always closer than we think. It begins. The shadow government, a dark conspiracy for sleepless nights. In the dead of night, a man sat alone in his dimly lit study, the faint glow of his computer screen casting long shadows across the room. Before him lay stacks of documents, pages filled with redacted text, cryptic symbols, and fragmented sentences that hinted at something far larger than any single individual could comprehend. The air was heavy with tension as he scrolled through an email chain he had uncovered, one that traced back to individuals whose names were whispered only in hushed tones. At the bottom of the thread, A single sentence stood out, chilling in its simplicity. The shadow knows more than we ever will. His hands trembled slightly as he leaned back in his chair, staring into the darkness beyond the screen. What he had stumbled upon wasn't just a conspiracy, it was a labyrinth of secrets so vast it threatened to consume anyone who dared venture too deep. Before we dive in, tell me, where are you watching from, and what time is it there for you? Oh, we love knowing who's out there with us, and where in the world you're tuning in from. Whether you're starting your day, winding down at night, or somewhere in between, we want to know what your moment looks like. It's also a great way for us to get to know our audience better, and maybe even shape future content around your schedules. So go ahead, drop a comment below, and let us know where you are today. We're all ears. This journey began years earlier, long before the man found himself entangled in this web of intrigue. It started innocently enough, a passing comment made by a colleague during lunch about how certain decisions seem to bypass elected officials entirely. The remark lingered in his mind, gnawing at the edges of his curiosity. Who were these unseen forces pulling strings behind the scene? Was it paranoia? Or was there substance to the idea of a shadow government operating beyond public scrutiny? The man lived in a quiet suburban neighborhood where life moved at a predictable pace. Neighbors waved politely as they watered their lawns. Children played on sidewalks until dusk, and the hum of evening news broadcasts drifted through open windows. On the surface, everything appeared normal. Yet beneath this veneer of tranquility, whispers circulated among those willing to listen. Conversations overheard at coffee shops, vague references in podcasts, and late-night documentaries all pointed toward the same unsettling conclusion. The world was governed not by the people elected to lead, but by an invisible elite whose motives remained shrouded in secrecy. His fascination grew after stumbling upon a series of declassified files online. These documents detailed covert operations conducted throughout the 20th century, operations that often contradicted official narratives. One file described a program aimed at manipulating public opinion through media control. Another outlined plans to destabilize foreign governments under the guise of promoting democracy. While some dismissed these revelations as relics of a bygone era, the man couldn't shake the feeling that their legacy endured. What if the shadow government hadn't dissolved with the end of the Cold War? What if it had evolved, adapting to new technologies and global challenges while remaining hidden from view? As he dug deeper, strange coincidences began to pile up. A whistleblower contacted him anonymously, claiming to possess evidence of ongoing manipulation. Cryptic messages arrived via encrypted channels, each one urging caution without revealing much. Then came the surveillance. He noticed unfamiliar cars parked near his home, static interruptions on phone calls, and the occasional sensation of being watched. None of it was conclusive, but together these incidents painted a picture of paranoia that felt disturbingly real. The turning point came when he received a package with no return address. Inside was a USB drive containing hours of audio recordings. Voices spoke in clipped tones, discussing policies yet to be announced. economic shifts manipulated to benefit specific interests, and even the orchestration of social movements designed to distract from larger agendas. Listening to these conversations felt like peering behind a curtain meant to shield the truth from prying eyes. But the most shocking revelation came when he recognized one of the voices, a prominent figure in mainstream politics, someone trusted by millions. How could this person be involved in such clandestine dealings? With each discovery, the stakes grew higher. He realized he wasn't just uncovering information, he was becoming part of the story. Every step forward brought him closer to danger, yet retreat seemed impossible. The conflict reached its peak when he attended a conference hosted by a think tank known for influencing policy decisions. There, amidst polished suits and rehearsed smiles, he encountered individuals whose presence radiated authority despite their anonymity. They never introduced themselves, never acknowledged his existence directly, but he could feel their gaze following him wherever he went. It was then he understood. The shadow government didn't operate in secret because it feared exposure. It thrived on the knowledge that few would believe its existence, even if proven. The twist came unexpectedly, jolting him out of his growing despair. During a routine visit to a library, he stumbled upon an old book tucked away in a forgotten corner. Its cover bore no title, only a symbol resembling those he'd seen in the leaked documents. Flipping through its pages, he discovered a passage describing the cyclical nature of power, how every empire, no matter how grand, eventually collapsed under the weight of its own corruption. The final line struck him like a thunderclap. The shadows may rule, but they are not invincible. Suddenly, the pieces clicked into place. The shadow government wasn't an omnipotent force, it was a system perpetuated by fear, greed, and complacency. And systems, no matter how entrenched, could be dismantled. By the climax of his investigation, the man faced a choice. He could expose what he knew, risking everything to shine light on the shadows, or he could retreat into obscurity, preserving his safety but leaving the status quo intact. In the end, he chose neither. Instead, he began planting seeds of doubt-subtle acts of resistance designed to awaken others to the reality around them. He shared fragments of his findings anonymously, encouraging critical thinking and skepticism. Slowly, imperceptibly, cracks began to form in the facade. The conclusion leaves listeners pondering their role in the broader narrative. Is the shadow government a tangible entity, or is it merely a reflection of humanity's darkest impulses? Can individuals truly challenge systems built to endure centuries, or are we destined to remain pawns in a game we don't fully understand? These questions hang in the air, unresolved yet undeniable. What do you think drives the shadow government, the pursuit of power, the preservation of order, or something else entirely? Do you believe ordinary people can make a difference? Or are we forever trapped in cycles of control? Let me know in the comments. I'm eager to hear your thoughts. Until next time, stay curious, stay vigilant, and remember, sometimes the greatest mysteries lie not in the shadows, but within ourselves. Good night. It begins. The Tale of the Forgotten Kingdom, a dark bedtime story. In the heart of an ancient forest, shrouded by mist and silence, stood a crumbling stone archway. Its intricate carvings were worn smooth by time, yet they still whispered secrets to those who dared listen closely enough. Beneath the pale glow of a crescent moon, a lone figure approached, their breath visible in the cold night air. They carried no map, no compass, only fragments of a story passed down through generations. A tale of a forgotten kingdom hidden deep within these woods, a place where time itself seemed to falter and fade. But as the figures stepped closer to the archway, the ground beneath them trembled faintly, as though protesting their intrusion. Something stirred in the shadows beyond, something ancient and restless. Before we dive in, tell me, where are you watching from, and what time is it there for you? Oh, we love knowing who's out there with us, and where in the world you're tuning in from. Whether you're starting your day, winding down at night, or somewhere in between, we want to know what your moment looks like. It's also a great way for us to get to know our audience better and maybe even shape future content around your schedules. So go ahead, drop a comment below and let us know where you are today. We're all ears. This journey begins not with grandeur, but with quiet curiosity. The figure was someone ordinary, someone like you or me, a wanderer, drawn to the mysteries of the past. They lived in a small town nestled at the edge of the forest, a place where history lingered in every creaking floorboard and weathered gravestone. Locals spoke of the forgotten kingdom in hushed tones, blending fact with folklore, until it became impossible to separate truth from myth. Some claimed it had been a thriving civilization centuries ago, its people prosperous and wise. Others said it fell into ruin because of hubris, punished by forces beyond comprehension. No one ventured far enough into the woods to confirm or deny any of it, except now, this solitary traveler. The forest itself was alive in ways difficult to describe. Trees stretched endlessly skyward, their gnarled branches intertwining like skeletal fingers. Moss blanketed the ground, muffling footsteps and swallowing sound. As the figure walked deeper, the air grew heavier, carrying with it the faint scent of earth and decay. Birds ceased their songs. Insects stilled their buzzing. It wasn't fear that slowed. Their pace was awe. This place felt sacred, untouched by modernity, as if stepping here meant crossing into another realm entirely. Their guide was a tattered journal found tucked away in an attic. Its pages were brittle, ink faded, but legible. Written in looping handwriting were accounts of expeditions led by explorers long dead, each entry more cryptic than the last. One passage described a city cloaked in perpetual twilight, its spires reaching toward a starless sky. Another mentioned statues that moved when no one watched, guarding treasures too dangerous to behold. The final entry ended abruptly. I have seen what lies beyond. I cannot return. What lay ahead? Was it salvation or damnation? The first sign of unease came when the path vanished beneath a thick blanket of fog. One moment, the figure could see clearly. The next, visibility dropped to mere inches. Panic bubbled just below the surface, but they pressed on, trusting instinct over reason. Then came the whispers, not loud enough to form words, but persistent, insistent. They seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere, echoing softly against the trees. At first, the figure thought it was their imagination playing tricks, but the longer they listened, the more distinct the voices became. They weren't hostile. They sounded, pleading, urging them forward. And then, suddenly, the fog lifted. Before them sprawled the ruins of the forgotten kingdom. Crumbling walls lined streets overtaken by roots and vines. Buildings leaned precariously, their windows dark and empty, yet amidst the decay, beauty lingered. Intricate mosaics adorned the remnants of temples, depicting scenes of prosperity and celebration. Fountains stood dry, their basins cracked, but still bearing traces of flowing water. It was as though the city had frozen in time, caught mid-breath before collapsing into silence. But the tranquility didn't last. As the figure explored further, they noticed subtle changes. Shadows shifted unnaturally, elongating and twisting, despite the absence of sunlight. Statues lining the pathways appeared different upon second glance, their postures slightly altered, their expressions darker. And then there were the doors. Dozens of them scattered throughout the ruins, each one sealed tight. The journal had warned about these doors, describing them as gateways to knowledge too vast for mortal minds to comprehend. Yet curiosity burned fiercely within the traveler. Against better judgment, they pushed open one of the doors. Inside was not a room, but a void, swirling expanse of light and darkness that defied logic. Voices erupted, louder now, overlapping in a cacophony of languages, both familiar and alien. Images flashed before their eyes. Cities rising and falling, civilizations flourishing and fading, stars being born and dying. Time unraveled, stretching and contracting until past, present, and future blurred together. The figure realized with dawning horror that they weren't looking at history, they were experiencing it. Every decision ever made, every life ever lived, played out simultaneously, infinite and overwhelming. The twist came when they saw themselves reflected countless times within the void, not as they were now, but as they might have been in alternate realities. In one version, they stood crowned, ruling over a golden empire. In another, they knelt defeated, shackled by chains forged from their own choices. Each reflection represented a path not taken, a destiny abandoned. And then, among the myriad selves, one stood apart, a shadowy figure cloaked in darkness, face obscured but presence undeniable. This version reached out, not with hostility, but with sorrow, whispering a single word. Remember. When the figure stumbled back into the ruins, gasping for air, the landscape had changed. The once decaying city now glimmered faintly, as though infused with new life. Statues stood tall and proud, their gazes benevolent rather than menacing. Even the air felt lighter, charged with possibility instead of dread. Had the act of opening the door somehow altered reality? Or had the traveler merely awakened to a truth that had always existed? By the climax of their journey, the figure understood the true nature of the Forgotten Kingdom. It wasn't a place bound by geography or timing. It was a mirror, reflecting humanity's collective soul. Every choice, every action, rippled outward, shaping the world in ways unseen, yet undeniable. The shadow government of fate, so to speak, resided not in external forces, but within the hearts of individuals. To forget the past was to doom oneself to repeat it. To remember was to reclaim agency, however fragile and fleeting. The conclusion leaves listeners grappling with profound questions. What does it mean to truly remember? Is history a burden or a gift? Can we change the course of our lives, or are we forever tethered to decisions made long ago? These uncertainties linger, unresolved yet resonant. What do you think the shadowy figure represented? Was it a warning, a guide, or something else entirely? Do you believe we hold the power to shape our destinies, or are we merely passengers on a predetermined journey? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Until next time, may your dreams carry you to places unknown, and may you find answers worth seeking. Good night. It begins. The tale of the sea witch and her deadly curse. On a moonless night, where the sea stretched endlessly into darkness, and the waves whispered secrets to the shore, a lone fisherman cast his net one final time. But instead of hauling in a catch, he pulled something strange from the depths, a small, weathered bottle sealed with black wax. Inside, a rolled parchment bore symbols that seemed to writhe under the dim light of his lantern. As he traced the markings with trembling fingers, the ocean around him grew unnaturally still. The air thickened, heavy with anticipation, as though the sea itself was holding its breath. And then, faintly at first, but growing louder, came laughter, a sound both melodic and menacing, echoing not from the waves, but from somewhere deep within the bottle. Before we dive in, tell me, where are you watching from, and what time is it there for you? Oh, we love knowing who's out there with us, and where in the world you're tuning in from. Whether you're starting your day, winding down at night, or somewhere in between, we want to know what your moment looks like. It's also a great way for us to get to know our audience better and maybe even shape future content around your schedules. So go ahead, drop a comment below and let us know where you are today. We're all ears. The story begins long before the fisherman's fateful discovery in a coastal village nestled between jagged cliffs and restless tides. This place was no stranger to tales of the sea legends of mermaids, ghost ships, and hidden treasures were woven into the fabric of daily life. Yet none of these stories held the weight or dread of the tale of the sea witch. She was said to be an ancient being, neither fully human nor creature of the deep, who had cursed generations of sailors and villagers alike. Some claimed she was born of betrayal, cast into the ocean by those she once loved. Others believed her curse was punishment for tampering with forces beyond mortal understanding. Whatever the truth, her name was rarely spoken aloud, lest it summon her wrath. The fisherman lived simply, like many in the village, relying on the bounty of the sea to sustain him. His days followed a predictable rhythm, rising before dawn, mending nets, and setting out to sea. He wasn't a superstitious man, but even he couldn't ignore the unease that had settled over the village in recent weeks. Fishermen returned with empty nets. Storms brewed without warning, their fury unrelenting. Whispers spread of the sea witch's return, though no one dared speak her name directly. Instead, they referred to her only as "She Who Watches," a title steeped in fear and reverence. It was during one such storm that the fisherman found the bottle. At first, he thought nothing of it, a curious trinket washed ashore by chance. But as he examined the symbols etched onto the parchment, he felt an inexplicable pull, a compulsion to unravel their meaning. That night, unable to shake the feeling that he had disturbed something sacred, he sought answers in the oldest parts of the village inn, abandoned lighthouse, perched precariously on the cliffs. There, amid shelves lined with dusty books and crumbling maps, he discovered fragments of lore about the sea witch. One passage described how she bound her power to objects scattered across the ocean floor, each containing a piece of her essence. To break her curse, one must gather all these artifacts and destroy them, but doing so would invite her vengeance. As days turned into weeks, the fisherman became increasingly obsessed. Strange occurrences began to plague him. Shadows moving where none should exist, whispers carried on the wind, and dreams filled with visions of a woman cloaked in seaweed, her eyes glowing like twin moons. In these dreams she spoke not with words but through emotions, conveying sorrow, anger, and longing. Though terrified, he couldn't turn away. Each artifact he recovered brought him closer to understanding her story, yet further from the safety of ignorance. The turning point came when he retrieved the final objecta, shard of obsidian encased in coral. As he held it aloft, the sea erupted in chaos. Waves crashed violently against the cliffs, and the sky darkened despite the absence of clouds. From the churning waters emerged the sea witch herself, her form shifting between beauty and monstrosity. Her voice, when she finally spoke, was both soothing and terrifying. "You seek to undo my work," she said, her gaze piercing. "But do you truly understand what you unleash? Here lies the twist revelation that shattered everything the fisherman thought he knew. Through fragmented memories shared by the sea witch, he learned that her curse was not born of malice, but desperation. Centuries ago, she had been a healer, using her gifts to protect the village from plagues and famine. But jealousy poisoned hearts, leading to her exile. In her grief, she bound her spirit to the sea, ensuring her protection would endure even in death. Over time, however, her intentions twisted, her magic corrupted by the hatred directed toward her. The curse wasn't meant to harm it, was meant to shield, albeit imperfectly. Faced with this knowledge, the fisherman stood at a crossroads. Destroying the artifacts would free the village from her influence, but condemn her soul to eternal oblivion. Leaving them intact meant perpetuating a cycle of suffering masked as salvation. In the end, he chose a third path on of reconciliation. Using the fragments of her essence, he performed a ritual to restore balance, allowing her to pass peacefully while lifting the veil of fear that had clouded the village for centuries. By the climax, the transformation was undeniable. The sea calmed, its waters shimmering with newfound clarity. Villagers reported seeing schools of fish return, their nets overflowing once more. Even the cliffs seemed less foreboding, bathed in sunlight after months of gloom. Yet the most profound change occurred within the fisherman himself. No longer burdened by obsession, he found solace in the simplicity of his life, carrying with him the lessons of compassion and forgiveness. The conclusion leaves listeners pondering the nature of curses and redemption. Was the sea witch truly evil, or was she a victim of circumstance? Can acts of kindness undo centuries of pain? Or does some damage linger forever? These questions remain unanswered, lingering like the echo of waves against the shore. What do you think drove the sea witch to bind her soul to the sea? Do you believe the fisherman made the right choice, or should he have destroyed the artifacts entirely? Let me know in the comments. I'm eager to hear your thoughts. Until next time, may your dreams carry you to places unknown, and may you find peace in the mysteries of the world. Good night. It begins. The Midnight Signal. A true conspiracy story that was never meant to be heard. In the heart of a quiet little town in Arizona, there was an old library. This wasn't just any library. It had books that whispered secrets when no one was listening. Pause for a moment and imagine this place filled with shelves upon shelves of dusty tomes, their spines cracked from years of being opened and closed by curious hands. But among all these books, one stood out, a book so peculiar it didn't even have a title on its cover. It was plain, leather-bound, and seemed to pulse faintly, as if it were alive. Before we dive in, tell me, where are you watching from, and what time is it there for you? We love knowing who's out there with us, and where in the world you're tuning in from. Whether you're starting your day, winding down at night, or somewhere in between. We want to know what your moment looks like. It's also a great way for us to get to know our audience better and maybe even shape future content around your schedules. So go ahead, drop a comment below and let us know where you are today. We're all ears. Now, back to the story. The man who found this book never expected it to change his life forever. He was just someone passing through, a traveler looking for answers about the world he lived in. He believed deeply in science, in facts, and in logic. Evolution, to him, was not just a theory, but a proven truth, something undeniable, backed by mountains of evidence. Yet, as he sat alone under the dim light of the library's flickering bulb, flipping through the pages of this mysterious book, he began to feel uneasy. Each page seemed to challenge everything he knew, every belief he held dear. And then he saw it, a drawing so vivid, so detailed, it felt almost real. It depicted creatures, unlike anything he'd ever seen, creatures that appeared to be halfway between human and animal, their forms shifting unnaturally. He paused, taking a deep breath, trying to calm himself. Was this some kind of prank? Or worse, was this book trying to convince him that evolution itself was built on lies? As he read further, the text became more cryptic, speaking of ancient civilizations that understood truths long forgotten by modern humanity. These weren't just random musings. They were written with such precision, such authority, that he couldn't help but wonder if, perhaps, just perhaps, there was something to them. The room grew colder as he turned another page. Outside, the wind howled eerily, rattling the windows of the old library. Inside, the silence was oppressive, broken only by the soft rustle of paper beneath his trembling fingers. Somewhere in the distance, a clock chimed midnight. He glanced up briefly, his eyes scanning the empty aisles of the library, half expecting to see someone or something watching him. But there was nothing. Just the endless rows of books, each one holding its own secrets, waiting patiently for someone brave enough to uncover them. As he delved deeper into the book, he noticed patterns emerging, dates, locations, names all, pointing to events that history books conveniently omitted. There were references to fossils discovered in places where they shouldn't exist, to DNA sequences that defied explanation, to archaeological findings that suggested intelligent life existed millions of years before humans walked the earth. His mind raced, piecing together fragments of information until a chilling realization dawned on him. What if the story of human evolution wasn't entirely accurate? What if we were missing pieces of the puzzle so fundamental that without them the entire narrative crumbled? But before he could fully process this thought, the book did something extraordinary. One of the pages began to glow softly, illuminating the darkened room with an otherworldly light. He leaned closer, his heart pounding wildly in his chest. Words started appearing on the page, words that hadn't been there before. They spoke directly to him, addressing him by name, though he hadn't told Anu-Ninut, even the librarian, who he was. "You seek answers," the text read, "but are you ready for the truth?" His hands shook as he reached out to touch the glowing letters. In that instant, the world around him shifted. The library vanished, replaced by a vast expanse of stars, stretching infinitely above him. Below, he could see the earth, spinning slowly in the void, its surface covered in strange markings he couldn't quite decipher. Voices echoed around him, overlapping and intertwining, speaking in languages both familiar and alien. Among them, one voice rose above the rest, clear and commanding. "Evolution is not a lie," it said, "but neither is it the whole truth." And then came the twist. The voice continued, explaining that evolution as we know it is merely one piece of a much larger puzzle. Humanity's journey isn't linear. It's cyclical, influenced by forces beyond our comprehension. Civilizations rise and fall, leaving behind traces of their existence buried deep within the fabric of reality. Some of these civilizations were advanced far beyond our wildest dreams, capable of manipulating matter and energy in ways we can barely begin to imagine. And yet they too fell victim to the same cycle of creation and destruction. The climax hit him like a freight train. The voice revealed that humanity isn't unique in its struggle to understand its origins. Other species, equally intelligent and curious, have walked this planet before us. Their stories are woven into the very DNA of every living creature, hidden in plain sight for those willing to look closely enough. The book wasn't just challenging the concept of evolution, it was expanding it, redefining it in ways that made his head spin. As the vision faded and the library returned, he realized the book had vanished from his hands. All that remained was a single sheet of paper bearing a message scrawled in elegant handwriting. "The truth waits for those who dare to seek it." The conclusion left him speechless. For hours he sat there, staring at the paper, pondering the implications of what he'd experienced. Was it real? Or was it all a figment of his imagination? A product of sleep deprivation and too much coffee? Either way, he knew one thing for certain. Nothing would ever be the same again. So, what do you think happened to the man in the library? Let me know in the comments below. Did he uncover the ultimate truth about evolution? Or did he simply stumble upon a clever fabrication designed to test his beliefs? Whatever your thoughts may be, sharing them helps build a community of curious minds eager to explore the mysteries of our universe together. Thanks for joining me on this journey tonight. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and remember the truth is always stranger than fiction. It begins. Unsolved midnight frequencies. The creepy signal heard around the world. Fact or fiction? The sound of the midnight signal was unlike anything anyone had ever heard before. It wasn't just a noise, it was a pattern, a rhythm that seemed to pulse through the air like a heartbeat from another world. Imagine this. You're sitting in your cozy room, late at night, scrolling through random channels on an old radio, when suddenly, out of nowhere, this strange series of beeps and tones cuts through the static. They weren't random, it felt deliberate, calculated, as if someone or something was trying to communicate with you. Before we dive in, tell me, where are you watching from, and what time is it there for you? Often, we love knowing who's out there with us, and where in the world you're tuning in from. Whether you're starting your day, winding down at night, or somewhere in between. We want to know what your moment looks like. It's also a great way for us to get to know our audience better and maybe even shape future content around your schedules. And so go ahead, drop a comment below and let us know where you are today. We're all ears. Now, back to the story. The signal didn't stop after one night. No. It kept coming back, every single midnight, without fail. And it wasn't just happening to one person, it was being picked up by people across the country. A truck driver in Arizona claimed he first heard it while parked under a starlit desert sky. A college student in Massachusetts said it interrupted her study session during finals week. Even a retired engineer from Texas swore he recorded it multiple times using his homemade shortwave device. But no matter who heard it, they all described the same thing. A haunting sequence of tones that seemed to form words, but not quite. It was maddeningly close, yet frustratingly elusive. Like staring at a puzzle missing its final piece. As the days turned into weeks, more and more people began sharing their experiences online. Forums lit up with discussions about the mysterious signal. Some thought it was a government experiment gone wrong. Others believed it was aliens attempting to make contact. A few suggested it might be a secret organization testing some kind of mind control technology. But despite the endless speculation, no one could agree on what it truly meant or why it only appeared at midnight. The truth is, though, this wasn't the first time humanity had encountered something like this. Back in the 1970s, researchers stumbled upon a similar phenomenon known as the bloop. It was a powerful underwater sound, so loud it was detected by sensors thousands of miles apart. Scientists never found a definitive explanation for it, leaving many to wonder whether nature itself held secrets far beyond human comprehension. Could the midnight signal be connected to these earlier mysteries? Or was it something entirely new? Let's rewind for a moment. Picture this, a small town nestled deep within the Appalachian Mountains. The kind of place where everyone knows each other's name and life moves at a slower pace. Here, in this quiet community, lived a man whose hobby became the spark that ignited global curiosity. He spent most evenings tinkering with electronics in his basement workshop, building gadgets and experimenting with amateur radio equipment. One fateful night, while adjusting the frequency dial on his latest creation, he intercepted the signal. At first, he dismissed it as interference, but as he listened closer, he realized it wasn't random noise. It was structured, almost musical. Curiosity got the better of him, and he decided to record it. Over several nights, he documented the patterns, noting how they changed slightly each time. Sometimes faster, sometimes slower, but always consistent enough to suggest intent behind them. His findings caught the attention of local news outlets, which quickly spread nationwide. Before long, major media networks were covering the story, turning the once private discovery into a national sensation. But here's where things started getting weird. As more people tuned in to listen for themselves, reports surfaced of strange side effects associated with hearing the signal. Some claimed it gave them vivid dreams filled with images of unfamiliar landscapes. Others reported headaches or feelings of unease whenever they heard it. A handful even insisted it altered their perception of reality, making them question everything they thought they knew about the world. Of course, skeptics dismissed these accounts as mere coincidence or psychological suggestion. After all, humans have a tendency to find meaning in randomness, especially when presented with phenomena they don't understand. Yet, the sheer volume of testimonials made it hard to ignore completely. Was it possible that the signal carried more than just sound waves? That it somehow interacted with the brain in ways science couldn't yet explain? Meanwhile, government agencies took notice. Rumors swirled about classified investigations involving top-secret departments within the Pentagon and CIA. Whispers hinted at meetings held behind closed doors, where experts debated the origins and implications of the signal. Official statements remained vague, offering little clarity to the public. This only fueled speculation further, creating an atmosphere of paranoia and intrigue. Then came the twist. Just as interest reached its peak, the signal vanished. One night, it simply stopped appearing. No warning, no explanation, just silence where there had once been mystery. Those who had grown accustomed to hearing it each midnight now faced empty airwaves. For many, the abrupt cessation felt unnatural, almost sinister, as if whatever created the signal had deliberately chosen to withdraw. This disappearance raised even more questions than answers. Had whoever or whatever was responsible achieved their goal? If so, what exactly was that goal? Or was this merely the beginning of something larger, a trial run before unleashing something far more significant? In the months following the signal's disappearance, theories continued to flourish. Some proposed it was a test of advanced communication technologies developed by extraterrestrial civilizations. Others speculated it originated from deep beneath Earth's surface, originating from ancient machines built by forgotten cultures. A particularly intriguing hypothesis suggested it wasn't real at all, that it existed solely within the minds of those who believed they heard it. manifesting as a collective hallucination triggered by shared subconscious desires. Regardless of its true nature, the midnight signal left an indelible mark on those who experienced it. It served as a reminder of how much we still don't know about the universe and ourselves. Perhaps that's the real takeaway. The unknown isn't something to fear, but rather an opportunity to explore, to grow, to learn. So, what do you think happened to the midnight signal? Was it a message from beyond, a glimpse into alternate dimensions, or simply a product of human imagination run wild? Let me know in the comments below. Share your thoughts, your theories, your wildest guesses. Together, maybe we can uncover the truth, or at least come closer to understanding the mysteries that surround us. And remember, sometimes the best stories aren't the ones we hear, but the ones we create together. Thank you for joining me tonight. Sleep well, dream big, and until next time, keep listening. It begins. The Whispering Woods, a chilling campfire story. The forest was alive that night. Not with the usual sounds of rustling leaves or chirping crickets, but with something far more unsettling, a soft, barely audible whisper carried on the wind. It wasn't human, not entirely, yet it felt deliberate, as if the woods themselves were trying to tell a story no one wanted to hear. Before we dive in, tell me, where are you watching from? And what time is it there for you? We love knowing who's out there with us and where in the world you're tuning in from. Whether you're starting your day, winding down at night, or somewhere in between, we want to know what your moment looks like. It's also a great way for us to get to know our audience better and maybe even shape future content around your schedules. So go ahead, drop a comment below and let us know where you are today. We're all ears. Now, back to the tale. Imagine this. A group of friends gathered around a flickering campfire deep in the heart of an ancient forest. The flames cast dancing shadows against the towering trees, their silhouettes stretching endlessly into the darkness above. The air smelled earthy, dampened by recent rain, and the chill seeped through layers of clothing despite the warmth of the fire. They had come here seeking adventure, a break from the monotony of everyday life, unaware that they were about to experience something none of them would ever forget. One of them, a quiet soul who always seemed lost in thought, decided to share a story. "You've all heard of haunted houses," they began, their voice steady but tinged with hesitation. "But have you ever considered haunted forests?" Pause for effect. Heads turned curiously toward them, drawn in by the promise of mystery. And so the storytelling began not just for entertainment, but because the whispers in the woods demanded it. As the story unfolded, the atmosphere grew heavier. The narrator spoke of a forgotten tribe that once called these woods home. A tribe rumored to possess knowledge beyond comprehension, able to communicate with nature itself, but their power came at a cost. According to legend, they made a pact with the forest, offering sacrifices in exchange for protection. When the last member of the tribe vanished without a trace, the forest absorbed their essence, becoming both guardian and keeper of secrets untold. The group listened intently, some shivering despite the heat of the fire. Yet, as the story reached its conclusion, a strange realization dawned on everyone. The whispers, the faint murmurs they dismissed earlier as mere imagination had grown louder, almost rhythmic, like a heartbeat echoing through the trees. It was as though the very forest was responding to the tale being told. Panic set in slowly, creeping into their minds like frost spreading across glass. One by one, they noticed peculiarities in their surroundings. Shadows moved unnaturally. Branches swayed when no wind blew, and the ground beneath them felt unnervingly alive. Someone suggested leaving immediately, but another pointed out the futility of running when the forest seemed to stretch infinitely in every direction. And then came the twist. In the midst of chaos, one of them stumbled upon an old journal half buried in the dirt near the campsite. Its pages were yellowed with age, filled with cryptic writings and sketches of symbols none of them recognized. What caught their attention most, however, was the final entry. Do not speak of us unless you wish to awaken what sleeps. The words sent chills down their spines. Had they unknowingly awakened something dormant within the forest? Or worse, had they been watched all along, their presence tolerated only until curiosity led them too far? Climax struck when the whispers coalesced into distinct voices, each speaking in languages unfamiliar yet hauntingly familiar. The forest itself seemed to breathe, its roots shifting and twisting as though forming pathways or barriers to guide them deeper into its embrace. Lights flickered in the distance, guiding those brave enough to follow. Some hesitated, others stepped forward, driven by fear or fascination. In the end, the group splintered. Those who stayed behind claimed they saw nothing unusual after the voices faded, while those who ventured forth disappeared without a trace. Years later, hikers reported finding remnants of the Camp Sitian extinguished fire ring, surrounded by unidentifiable markings carved into the bark of nearby trees. What truly happened that night remains unknown. Was it merely a product of overactive imaginations fueled by ghost stories? Or did the whispering woods reveal a truth hidden beneath centuries of silence? Perhaps the answers lie waiting for those willing to listen. So, what do you think happened to the group in the Whispering Woods? Let me know in the comments below. Did they uncover the ultimate secret of the forest? Or did they simply stumble upon a clever fabrication designed to test their beliefs? Whatever your thoughts may be, sharing them helps build a community of curious minds, eager to explore the mysteries of our universe together. Thanks for joining me on this journey tonight. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and remember the truth often hides in plain sight. It begins. The Lost Star, a cosmic mystery for sleepless nights. Imagine this, a star, one among billions in the night sky, suddenly vanishes without a trace. Not just dimming or being obscured by cloud snow. It's gone entirely, as if someone had erased it from existence. Astronomers around the world are baffled. Telescopes point at the exact spot where the star once shone brightly, but now there's only an empty patch of blackness. Pause for a moment and let that sink in. How does something so massive, so eternal, simply disappear Before we dive in, tell me, where are you watching from and what time is it there for you? Oh, we love knowing who's out there with us and where in the world you're tuning in from. Whether you're starting your day, winding down at night, or somewhere in between, we want to know what your moment looks like. It's also a great way for us to get to know our audience better and maybe even shape future content around your schedules. So go ahead, drop a comment below and let us know where you are today. We're all ears. Now back to the story. The disappearance wasn't noticed immediately. Stars, after all, seem infinite, their light traveling millions of years before reaching Earth. But when astronomers reviewed data from telescopes around the globe, they realized something was amiss. A star catalogued as KX 471, located in the constellation Orion, had vanished overnight. No explosion, no warning signs, no remnants left behind, just silence. The man who discovered this anomaly worked at a small observatory nestled in the hills of Arizona. He wasn't famous. He didn't have a PhD or a prestigious title. He was just someone passionate about the stars, spending countless nights gazing up at the heavens through his telescope. That night, however, was different. As he cross-referenced recent observations with older records, he noticed the gap where KX 471 should have been. His heart raced not because of fear, but because of wonder. What could possibly cause such a thing? He reached out to colleagues, sharing his findings via email and online forums. At first, most dismissed it as a mistake, perhaps a misalignment of the telescope or an error in the data. But as more people checked their own records, the realization dawned on them. The star really was gone. And not just any starret, was one that had been studied extensively over decades. Its behavior, its brightness, its positional, meticulously documented until now. As news spread, theories began to emerge. Some suggested it might be a natural phenomenon, like gravitational lensing or interstellar dust obscuring the view. Others proposed more far-fetched ideas, alien technology, wormholes, or even a glitch in reality itself. Each theory sparked heated debates, drawing in scientists, enthusiasts, and skeptics alike. For days, the topic dominated headlines, social media, and dinner table conversations. People couldn't stop talking about the lost star. But then came the Twista discovery that changed everything. While analyzing old photographs taken decades ago, another astronomer noticed something peculiar. In images captured before KX 471 disappeared, the star appeared slightly different. Its color shifted subtly, oscillating between blue and red in ways that defied explanation. This pattern wasn't random, it seemed deliberate, almost rhythmic, like a heartbeat or a code waiting to be deciphered. Excitement rippled through the scientific community. Could the star have been trying to communicate? If so, what message did it carry? Teams of researchers pored over the data, searching for patterns, connections, anything that might unlock the mystery. They found clues buried deep within the star's spectrum frequencies that matched mathematical constants, ratios that mirrored the structure of DNA, even references to locations on Earth. It was as if the star had encoded a map, pointing to specific places scattered across the planet. And then came the climax. One by one, these locations were visited by curious explorers, armed with maps generated from the star's signals. What they uncovered was astonishing. Beneath ancient ruins, inside abandoned mines, and hidden within dense jungles, they found artifacts unlike anything ever seen before. Strange devices, made of materials unknown to science, glowing faintly with an otherworldly energy. Symbols, etched into their surfaces, matched those detected in the star's light, suggesting a connection spanning eons. The conclusion left everyone speechless. Was the star truly lost, or had it fulfilled its purpose? Did it come to Earth as a messenger, leaving behind gifts meant to guide humanity toward greater understanding? Or was this merely the beginning of a larger puzzle, one designed to test our curiosity and resilience? What do you think happened to KX-471? Let me know in the comments below. Did it leave willingly, or was it taken? Whatever your thoughts may be, sharing them helps build a community of curious minds eager to explore the mysteries of our universe together. Thanks for joining me on this journey tonight. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and remember, the truth is always stranger than fiction. It begins from ancient ruins to alien signals, humanity's biggest questions. Imagine this, a quiet desert night, the stars above twinkling like ancient secrets waiting to be uncovered. Somewhere in the middle of nowhere, an archaeologist crouches over a peculiar artifact, its surface etched with symbols that seem almost alive. They pulse faintly under the moonlight, as if whispering stories from another time, another world. The air is still, but for the first time, the archaeologist feels a chill run down their spine. This isn't just any discovery, it's something bigger, older, and stranger than anything they've ever encountered before. Before we dive in, tell me, where are you watching from, and what time is it there for you? Oh, we love knowing who's out there with us, and where in the world you're tuning in from. Whether you're starting your day, winding down at night, or somewhere in between, we want to know what your moment looks like. It's also a great way for us to get to know our audience better and maybe even shape future content around your schedules. So go ahead, drop a comment below and let us know where you are today. We're all ears. Now, back to the story. Let's set the scene. Picture a vast expanse of desert stretching endlessly into the horizon. The kind of place where silence feels heavier than words. Here, amidst the sand dunes and forgotten ruins, lies a sight unlike any other. For years, researchers have been excavating what appears to be remnants of a civilization so advanced, it defies logic. These weren't just ordinary people building shelters. These were architects of technology far beyond anything humanity has achieved today. But how could this be possible? How did such a sophisticated society exist thousands of years ago, long before modern science even began? The archaeologist mentioned earlier wasn't alone in their findings. Across continents, similar discoveries were being made. In Egypt, strange carvings on temple walls depicted beings with elongated heads and glowing eyes. In South America, intricate stone structures, aligned perfectly with celestial events, suggesting knowledge of astronomy that would take centuries for humans to replicate. And then there was the signal. It started as a faint hum, barely audible over the sound of the wind. At first, no one paid much attention. But soon the hum turned into a pattern, a series of tones that seemed deliberate, intentional. Scientists scrambled to decode it, but the more they listened, the more questions arose. Where was it coming from? Why did it only appear at certain times? And perhaps, most importantly, who or what was sending it? As days passed, the signal grew stronger, clearer. People around the globe began picking it up on their radios, phones, even old televisions. Some claimed it gave them vivid dreams, while others reported feeling an inexplicable connection to the universe. A sense of unity spread across cultures, languages, and borders, as if everyone was suddenly aware of something greater than themselves. But here's where things got interesting. Among those studying the signal was a group of linguists who believed it might hold answers to humanity's biggest questions. Questions like, are we alone in the universe? What came before us? And why does life exist at all? As they worked tirelessly to decipher the tones, patterns emerged. Words not spoken in any human language, but somehow understood by those who heard them. Messages about origins, destinies, and truths hidden deep within the fabric of reality. Then came the twist. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the desert in hues of orange and purple, the signal changed. Instead of tones, it became a voice, a calm, resonant voice speaking directly to the archaeologist. You seek answers, it said, but are you ready for the truth? The words echoed, not just in their ears, but in their mind, as if the voice had bypassed physical barriers altogether. The climax hit hard. The voice explained that the ruins weren't merely remnants of an ancient civilization. They were gateways, portals to other dimensions. The beings responsible for the signal had once walked among humans, sharing knowledge, guiding evolution, but they had left, leaving behind clues for those brave enough to uncover them. The signal wasn't random, it was a map, leading to places where time itself bent and folded, revealing secrets untold. In that moment, the archaeologist realized the magnitude of what they'd discovered. Humanity wasn't just the product of chance or natural selection. It was part of a grand design, woven into the very threads of existence. The signal wasn't just meant for scientists or scholars, it was for everyone, a reminder that we are all connected, all pieces of a puzzle far larger than ourselves. The conclusion left the archaeologist and anyone who heard the story speechless. For hours they sat beneath the starlit sky, contemplating the implications. Were we truly alone, or were we surrounded by unseen presences, watching, waiting? Was the universe infinite, or did it loop back on itself, creating cycles of creation and destruction? The questions lingered, haunting yet comforting, like lullabies sung by the cosmos itself. So, what do you think? Is the signal real, or is it a figment of our collective imagination? Do you believe humanity's greatest mysteries can be solved, or will they forever remain shrouded in mystery? Let me know in the comments below. Sharing your thoughts helps build a community of curious minds eager to explore the unknown together. Thanks for joining me on this journey tonight. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and remember, the truth is always closer than you think.